Hello everyone, my name is PixelRiffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. Take a good long look at our starter house because it's not going to stay there for much longer. Now we've brought back all of those materials from the previous episode and we've got all of these different wood types. I'm going to be farming some of these wood types to gather a whole lot more of them, and then we are going to embark on our first proper house build. Of the materials we brought home, the major things we're going to need are oak wood, spruce wood, dark oak wood, and bamboo. I'm going to make sure the trees are nice and evenly spaced out so that we can grab a lot of saplings as they drop, especially with the spruce and the dark oak trees. The bamboo I'm going to plant in a large patch over here, just so a lot of it can grow, and then we can basically multiply the amount of bamboo we're able to harvest. And bamboo grows really fast, so we don't need to worry about that. Each of these trees will naturally grow on their own, or alternatively you can use bone meal to help them along a little bit. But in the meantime, we're going to grab a couple of iron ingots, we're going to make an iron hoe, and we're going to go on an adventure. In the previous video, we took down an azalea tree right here, and I mentioned that signpost that there is a lush cave under the surface. We're going to try and find that lush cave right now, and we're going to row into this kind of spooky looking cave in order to do that. And that splooshing sound we just heard was a magma block under the surface. Whoa! Hello! And creepers are dropping from above. Already this is a little dangerous. If you row a boat over a magma block, it'll start to rock back and forth like this because the magma block has a set of bubbles that will actually drag you down. It doesn't look like the lush cave is in that direction though, which leads me to believe it could be found somewhere over here. And lush cave biomes can generate far below the surface, but I'm curious to see if any of it has made it up to slightly more accessible layers. And I believe right there we are looking at a patch of moss, just behind this zombie anyway. There we go. As we light our way up into this cave, we can see that there is some moss on the floor right here, and that's why we've brought the hoe, because we are going to harvest this, and the hoe is the best tool for gathering moss. We can also grab a little bit of clay if we want to. That will break down into clay balls, but we can always reform those into clay blocks in our crafting grid. And as we get deeper in, we start to encounter some of the foliage you can find in lush caves, like these glowberries, which will provide a natural light to the area. We're going to right-click to harvest those. Once again, I'm going to grab some of the moss from the nearby walls and ceilings. That's really what we're here for, since we're going to make the roof of our house out of a combination of moss and bamboo. There we go. We have a little over 2 stacks of moss. I think that will be fine to take home with us. It might not be enough to complete our roof, but we can always farm a little bit more moss while we are there. On our way back, we're going to stop by one of these larger beach biomes and gather some sand blocks from the surface. I'm going to aim to bring back a stack of sand, although my shovel does look like it's about to break, so we'll punch the rest for now and upgrade to an iron shovel once we get home. Back at the house, one of our spruce trees grew as I was making my approach, and we can actually start taking down the leaves here with a hoe. Unlike the shears, which give you the leaf blocks, a hoe will simply break the blocks a lot faster than punching them allows you to. And this tree has already been kind enough to give us 4 spruce saplings, plus a few extra that I see dropping, so we are going to plant these in a 2x2 as well. But we're going to do that away from the area where I plan to build, because growing a 2x2 spruce tree generates a lot of podzol, a variant of dirt or grass that's meant to look like a pine needle carpet in an old forest. It is unfortunately kind of brown and muddy, so I'm not planning on using it to decorate this area. We'll craft the bamboo we brought home into blocks, and that's only 25 blocks. We're going to need a lot more than that. My iron axe is getting really low on durability, but instead of wearing this one out, I am just going to craft another one. And the dark oak tree has grown, which means we can start to take this down with our brand new axe. And having chopped down that entire tree, I'm left with 42 dark oak logs and 42 less durability on this iron axe. By placing the 2 of those iron axes in the crafting interface here, I can combine them, repairing the durability and also adding a little extra. This is on 208, this is on 8, so that should be 216. We actually get 228 back, so the game will throw a little extra durability in there since you're combining 2 different tools. So if you're low on iron, that's actually a really good way of stretching your tools out to last a little bit longer. There's our 2x2 spruce tree, and I think that was worth the wait. That's going to give us a lot of wood. And as I've chopped down this tree, the wandering trader has showed up with his pair of llamas. Well, this is an interesting opportunity because the trader can often give you blocks or items that you have not even seen in the game yet, especially in the early stages of the world. Unfortunately, he wants to trade emeralds for these different items, and I haven't got any emeralds to trade quite yet. If you didn't find a cherry grove nearby, he could trade you a cherry sapling, but these 6 items will be different every time he visits. He also brings a pair of llamas on leads, and sometimes people kill the Wandering Trader so that he will be unleashed from the llamas and the leads will drop separately. Or alternatively, they kill the llamas. Llamas will drop leather but no meat, and in this case they will drop the leads since the Wandering Trader isn't using them anymore. What I prefer to do is a slightly more humane thing. I put one of the llamas into a boat just then. If you place a boat in front of an animal whilst they are walking, there's a chance they can get into the boat, and that time a lead just dropped without us having to harm any of these creatures. This llama will still follow the other llama around because they're kind of programmed to follow one that is being led. But once again, we can place this boat down behind the Wandering Trader. That llama will pop off the lead, we get to pick up the lead, and we can grab our boat again. No harm done to any of them. Now, both the Wandering Trader and the llamas will kind of roam around freely, and they'll disappear after about 40 minutes. But in this case, he's going to disappear a little faster because that tree just grew right where he was standing. Honestly, they're a danger to themselves sometimes. We're going to ignore the Wandering Trader for now because we don't have anything that we can use to pay him. But for the moment, we're just going to keep farming trees. Then we're going to drop off some of these other materials in this chest, make sure we have a backup iron pickaxe and a new shovel, and we're going to return to this cave that we explored in a previous episode. We'll gather up a little bit more coal, but what we are really here for is the stone. I think I'll go to the back of this cave, somewhere around here, and I'll start digging a tunnel into the wall. Every 10 blocks or so, we're going to place a torch to make sure this area stays lit up and that monsters don't end up spawning right behind us. But by digging in a straight line at around Y28, we can expect to find a reasonable amount of iron, or even some offshoots into other caves. We've also uncovered some lapis lazuli ore, so let's grab some of that. That breaks down into lapis lazuli, which can be broken down further into blue dye, or is a mineral used for enchanting. We'll get onto that topic in a future episode, but for now we're going to continue digging in a straight line. Every so often we can also make tunnels to either side of us, making sure that we keep those nice and lit up as well. This is a technique known as branch mining, where you start a central stem and then you dig in branches to either side, hoping to uncover some rare resources. But one of the other advantages that this has right now is it's acquiring us a lot of stone for our house build. Don't worry, in the next part of the video I'm going to provide a full list of the materials you will need to build this house along with me. We just have a couple more things to prepare before we get started. Back at the house, we're going to use one of my old stone pickaxes to break this furnace, and using some of the cobblestone we gathered, we're going to make 3 more. We can put these 4 furnaces out here in the open for now. We'll divide our coal evenly between each one, and we'll cook the raw iron in this one, and in each of the other ones we're going to place a stack of cobblestone. That will start smelting the cobblestone until it becomes the natural stone that you see in the walls of caves. When you break this stone, it turns into cobblestone, but you can always revert it back by cooking it in a furnace. 3 blocks of natural stone and 1 iron ingot on top of those will get you this stone cutter, which can be used to convert stone blocks into other types of stone blocks. If you just put cobblestone in here, it can cut the cobblestone into slabs, stairs, and even walls in a 1-to-1 ratio, so you can end up with 2 slabs, you can end up with a stair, or you can end up with a wall. This will save you resources when crafting stairs, since 6 blocks of cobblestone typically makes 4 cobblestone stairs, but 6 blocks in a stone cutter will make you 6 stairs. However, once we've gathered a bit more of the natural stone, that's where the true power of this block comes in, because now we can turn this into stone bricks, which can also be crafted in a 2x2 crafting interface. You can turn it directly into chiseled stone brick stairs and walls, and even slabs and stairs of natural stone. Unfortunately, the stone cutter cannot cut wood stairs for you, so you're going to have to still do that in the crafting table. Now that we've smelted some more iron, I'm going to craft myself another iron pickaxe, and maybe a fresh iron axe to do a bit more tree chopping. And if you stick around for the rest of the video, we will finally be doing a step-by-step tutorial for how to build our first proper house. Hey folks, welcome back. So we are just about ready to build this house. I've got a bunch of materials stored in this build chest here that should hopefully be everything we need, and I will also put a bunch of materials on screen right now which will give you an approximate idea of what you will need. And for the majority of the bulk materials, I've rounded it up to the nearest stack or half stack, just in case you lose a little bit on the way. If anything falls on the floor or despawns or anything like that, you should have more than enough to build what we want to build. One thing I will briefly cover, since we mentioned it earlier in the episode but I didn't really follow through, is how to get more moss. Really all you need is a single moss block and some bone meal. We're going to do that to the podzol over here, since I don't really feel like keeping the podzol around here. We're going to bury this moss block in the ground, and we're going to bone meal at the top of the block like so, and it will convert a large area surrounding it into moss blocks, which you can then dig up with a hoe. This only really works on natural blocks, and there are some exceptions to that. So it'll work on grass and stone and the decorative stone types like granite and diorite, but it won't necessarily work on something like sand. It won't convert anything that already has a block over the top of it though, and that includes where something like grass has grown here. You'll notice those blocks got preserved even when we bone mealed the moss nearby, but when we bone meal it a second time with all the grass removed, there we go. And it looks like our furnaces are done smelting all the stone, so I'm going to remove a bunch of that, and I think the next thing we're going to do is take down our starter house. Sad though I am to see it go, we would need to expand sooner or later, and I'm not going to continue to build in this style, nor am I going to continue to build on this scale, so sooner or later, as we built up more stuff around here, this tiny little wooden tent would start to feel out of place. We are going to preserve one aspect of this though, and that's the floor. I don't really want to move all of these chests since they've got a bunch of other stuff in, so right now we're going to leave those as is, and we're actually going to build the bottom floor of this house around the existing floor of our old starter house. So let's begin. The first thing we're going to do is grab some of the stone and stone bricks we've already crafted. I'm also going to grab close to a stack of moss, and we're going to combine that with some stone bricks to make mossy stone bricks. We're going to pepper those in here and there as we start to build a 7x15 box. That's 7 blocks along this end and 15 blocks long in that direction. Once we make sure we've got all of those measurements right, we're going to build it up so that this lower half of the build right here comes up to 5 blocks high. If you want some guidelines about where to put the mossy stone brick, put it close to the ground where the build is going to interact with the grass, and put it in patches if you can, as though the moss is kind of spread from one location. Then build up the rest of the box so it matches the height of this end. With that stone box built, it's looking pretty good so far. We're going to pop the rest of the stone in here and grab the spruce logs. We can use some dirt blocks to pillar up to get back on top of this wall, and we're going to build a kind of frame around the house in 5-block wide sections. This is going to overhang the stone box we built by 1 block. So we're going to come along 3 spruce logs here. We're going to place some dirt so that we can actually get a log vertically on this corner, and we're going to pillar up 5 blocks. We're also going to place a block as we fall so we don't take too much fall damage from that. We can remove the helper dirt blocks, and we've started to frame out the windows and walls of the first floor of this house. And while it was raining, I framed out the rest of the border of this house, just connecting each section with a 3-block long log and a 5-block high pillar. And you should know you've measured the stone box right, because the pillars will perfectly overhang each of the 4 corners. The one area I've left open is this section here, where we're going to have a 3-block wide section, which will actually be the porch. We're going to build a stone staircase leading up to that, so that's actually the floor by which you enter the main house. But for now, we're going to do something about this overhang to make it look a little less awkward. So I'm going to grab these dark oak slabs. We'll grab all 3 stacks of those. We're going to place 3 slabs on each of the exposed ends of the pillars, like so. And then we're going to connect these with 2 slabs either side and a slab in the middle to make it look like an archway. We've now done that all the way around the outside, except for this area here where the stone is going to connect to the porch. That's all we'll need to do with the slabs, so we'll put those away and top up our spruce logs. And before I forget, one more quick Minecraft mechanics thing to show you. I've already smelted a stack of glass, which is pretty simple. All you need to do is put some sand in a furnace with some fuel. The sand will slowly turn into a block of glass, and I've got 64 of that ready to make the windows. We're also going to grab these oak logs and the oak trapdoors that I crafted in the crafting table. You just need oak planks for those. And on the inside of the frames here, anywhere we want to make a window, we're going to lay 3 oak logs along there. We're going to place 6 glass, like so, and then we're going to add 3 logs along the top there. And then we're going to take our axe and right-click on each of those logs to strip them, which completely changes the texture, like it's removed the bark and just left a smooth piece of wood beneath it. You might occasionally strip a piece of the spruce wood in the process of that, and if you don't want to leave that, you can always break it, replace it with another log, and the stripped spruce log can be broken down into planks just like regular spruce wood can. I do want to leave a couple of these walls plain without windows. It kind of increases the sense of privacy that you might have in a house like this, so I'm also going to leave a couple of flat walls of just stripped oak logs. And on the back of the house here, we'll make those symmetrical. We'll have 2 windows in the middle and a flat wall on either side. At this end, we'll do 1 one flat wall and one window, but the front side is going to be all windows since I've decided I always want to view some nice window decoration. Trapdoors can be placed on either the top or the bottom of a block, but they close up just the same either way. We're also going to craft some spruce trapdoors really quickly, just so we can add a top row to each of these window sections and even the flat walls. Placing those along the top there, we just need to close each of them, and these provide a nice border for where the roof is going to begin. Once again, leaving a 3-block gap in between them like so. We're going to count 1, 2, 3 and leave another support there. And I prefer to remove dirt blocks underneath these so it looks like the pillar goes straight down into these spruce planks as well, since in some cases they're going to do better than this. Each of these corners, we're going to place a log facing outwards. We're going to do that on every... Then we're going to add one more log to the top of each of these pillars, and then add 2 logs facing outwards attached to those. The same goes for each of the 4 corners, like so. The spruce trapdoors with another 3-block long row of spruce logs. Now switching to our spruce slabs, we're going to place a row of those in between each of the plank on each of those, because we're actually going to place a slab either side. Once again, we will leave a gap above our entrance for the moment, but we'll come back, build up with some spruce slabs in order to support the next block. We'll do the same on this side with 2 blocks of moss, 1 block of bamboo, 2 blocks of moss, and finally on the back wall. And if you've done that right, you shouldn't see the end texture of moss. We'll do the same on the opposite end over here, and we'll return, bring those in with a double slab, and then connect them with a single slab in the center. Switching to the planks for a second, we're going to add another plank and a pillar up with 1 more plank, connect those with a slab, and add a plank and a slab on top of that. This will create this nice little aperture, this sort of opening at the front of the house, which we're going to fill in the corners of here with a couple of moss blocks. We're also going to add a moss block behind that slab, and this middle space here is going to be filled up with 2 oak trapdoors in a moment. In the meantime, we can build up on the inside here, pillaring up 4 blocks with the moss on these sides. Then we'll come in by 1 block on each side, finish the top of that with 3 moss slab to the top of this, and then we're going to come inwards by 1 slab and continue building up the frame around the roof. And now I've just realized we need 1 more moss block on those 3 middle sections there. That should be fine. Now we can come in with another slab, a double slab on top of that, and we've reached the center of the roof. We can come on down and build the same frame on this side. Now the end of the roof should look like this, and we're going to add some framing elements in here around a central window made of oak trapdoors. We're going to place the oak trapdoors flat on the ground, facing outwards, so that as they open, they end up on the very edge of these blocks here. Filling in the window with those, we're going to use some more slabs to frame out this area. We're going to put 1 here and 1 there. The same on the opposite side, 1 in the center and leaving a gap either side, 1 either side there. Then we can build up the edge of the window frame with planks, stopping right there. We'll put another slab either side of that and 1 up there, and then we'll put planks on top of each of those, leaving us with this really nice ornate end to the roof. Now, pillaring back up here, this might be a little easier to see from this angle, because what we're doing is putting bamboo blocks alongside each of these, and that spruce slab frame for the roof always comes up 1 slab higher than the bamboo blocks just inside. Along this back wall, we're going to continue the same pattern of 2 moss blocks and 1 bamboo block. And if you're wondering how I'm able to get these blocks out of my inventory without opening it, it's the pick block action, which you can usually do with middle click on a mouse. So anytime I look at a block and I click the middle mouse button, if I have that block in my inventory, it gets moved onto my hotbar. I'm not sure if there's a corresponding control on console or mobile devices, but it's really useful on PC. Oh, that's why I didn't put the moss blocks there. It's because they're actually bamboo blocks, or at least that one is, and the one on the opposite side here is as well. I'll also talk about the roof pitch here, because this is actually kind of important to the build. It's not a straightforward angled roof. It actually has a slightly different angle to it, where it comes up 2 blocks, and then up 1 block, and then up 2 blocks, and then up 1 block, and then up 2 blocks, and the final roof ridge in the center is up 1 block. And you might think that'd look curvy and disjointed, but like this, it really just looks like the roof has a steeper angle. And I'm really liking the way this house is starting to look. Before we go any further though, we'd better hop in and make sure that this area down here is lit up, because we're about to close off the roof, and the light coming in from the windows is not going to be enough to prevent mob spawning. So I will put a couple of torches down here just to make sure there is adequate light. And it's worth putting torches on each of these to meet the top of this roof ridge that's reaching out towards the window there. We'll fill moss in these corners as well, and we're actually going to be using bone meal to grow a bunch of grass and flowers up here on the mossy section of the roof. From this angle, hopefully it's a little bit easier to see the area where we're planting to. We'll throw some cornflowers, maybe one of these ox-eye daisies, have a sunflower or 2 growing up there if we wanted to. So we're going to hop around up here, right-clicking with bone meal. It's growing a couple of azalea shrubs. These flowers, put them on the hotbar, and let's have a sunflower right here, and maybe one Now we're going to grab a few of these other ingredients because we are going to build the porch. I'll also grab that instead of using planks, and we'll add the mangrove door on of the door, and then from there we're actually going to come inwards 1 block, adding a couple more mangrove planks up here. And now that we've pillared up 3 blocks, we're level with this area, we're going to put in some spruce last of the build. On the inside of the house, of course, we now need a floor, so we're going to be placing a floor of spruce planks in here. You could also use slabs if you're short on materials at the basement. Obviously, we're going to have to turn a corner here, so we'll put some planks right there. Continue the staircase down. Oh, we should probably put a log there to make sure that looks like a decent pillar. If we wanted to, we could have some steps down beneath that window, and then we're going to add the porch canopy on top of these pillars here. And then we're going to come out 1 more block, so the next set of slabs starts connected to the top half of that cobblestone wall. Then we're going to build out another arted porch roof. One final touch before we build the staircase. Since we're not always going to want to go up the stairs to get into our storage basement, we can probably knock through this wall here and put an extra door in here. I think we'll put some packed full of detail and actually not too bad of a build. If you're building this along with me, you've enjoyed the process. At this point, I'm going to throw all of the wood blocks and stuff back into the chest in case I've forgotten anything, but honestly, I didn't include the long, so I might end up doing something a bit different with it, or I might just end up building a little detail that I've decided to cook up to make this staircase a little bit more visually interesting, since it's just a lot of stone at the bottom of that. We're going to put some stairs here, and then we're going to waterlog it. Non-full blocks like this can often be waterlogged. You know, some water can be tipped into the same block space, and they will actually retain water in a really interesting way. I'm going to put a stone brick stair other way around, kind of just spill out, because there's a water source down there that this water is flowing into. And this turned into a really nice way of getting a bit more color and a bit more nature, kind of earthy and mossy and stuff. So I figured we would side by side like this, but then you've always got to take the water from the middle of this for it to reform. Otherwise, if you take it from that, the reason everybody does a 2x2 is that you take the water from any corner and it automatically refills regardless. So that can be a really useful way of making sure that you've always got water close by. Oh no, the pillagers are attacking the latest wandering trader to have made an appearance. Well, I guess I'd better run away from these crossbows. Or I suppose I could show you what happens when you attack a pillager patrol, just very briefly. We'll get into these mechanics a bit more in a future episode. But the pillagers will gang up on you, they'll attack you with their crossbows, and this guy here with the banner on his head is a bit of a problem. Thankfully, he's distracted by killing the llamas. But if we end up killing this guy, we're going to get a status effect called Bad Omen, and we get the achievement Voluntary Exile for that. The Bad Omen icon will appear on the screen, and in our inventory it's going to count down from 100 minutes. And for the duration of this status effect, if you end up walking into a village, you will trigger a pillager raid, where waves of enemies will start to spawn around the village and come in and attack the villagers. So we need to stay well away from a village, but luckily, a simple bucket of milk can dispel the Bad Omen effect, and we get to keep that guy's banner as well. Maybe we should hang it from one of these pillars as a sign that those guys should stay away. But anyway, I'm going to finish up doing the rest of the water on these staircases, and then it will be time to wrap up today's episode. Also, before the items just sit here too long and despawn, I'm going to grab the leather and the lead that were dropped by that llama the pillagers killed. I think the finishing touch for this staircase could probably be some leaves of some kind. Maybe if we still have those azalea leaves, I'll add those around there. And I didn't have any here, but I could just grow an azalea right here using a couple of bone meal. We can end up shearing the leaves off to acquire them. We'll do that until the shears break. We'll take the logs out so the rest of the leaves decay, and we can use the remaining leaves to decorate this area. So there we go. We have our first house with tons of personality and a staircase with actually very little personality. Maybe we'll refine it later, but for now I have to have some way of getting into the house. I can't use the back door all the time. And in future episodes we'll do some interior design. We'll make sure this place feels nice and cozy on the inside. We'll set up storage so that we can store a ton of items here in this house. But I think, honestly, given the state of my tools at this point with my pickaxe and my shovel and having gone through a bunch of swords chopping down all that bamboo, I think it's time for a materials upgrade. So maybe, how about in the next episode, we go and find some diamonds. For now, that's going to be it from me. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide. My name has been Pixel. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you folks soon. Take care. Bye for now.